Hey everybody, this is Matt Nokes with another episode of Let's Talk Hitting, and I have my good friend here, Phil Ouellette, and we go back a ways, don't we, Phil?
Yes, we do, Matt. We go back to rookie ball in I believe it was 1981 in Great Falls, Montana.
This is the guy that taught me how to hit.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I believe we grew up and taught each other how to hit. I mean, baseball was a little different then. Everybody wasn't out for themselves. We were. It was all about a team effort, and we were both Southern California boys, and it was about both of us getting the opportunity. So it was fun.
Well, something for me that I think something that you and I had. We were hitters that were very natural hitters. We had rhythm and flow and timing and I think what we understood and what I learned from you, which you're doing something really interesting called Sledge Bats.
Yes.
And I knew you were going to do this. I knew you were going to do this probably from the time we were playing together, because you would come to the season and say that you had been working out with Elrod or
James Elrod, yeah.
James Elrod.
Yeah, Jim Elrod, former San Francisco Giant, didn't get really above Double-A because he got injured, but he taught me how to hit. I mean, we trained with one-hand drills and backhand drills and angles and points of contact and fluidity. I mean, we would train 45 minutes a day for 5 months in the off season. And it was just an everyday thing. I mean, we lived in the cages working on how to become a natural, fluid hitter. It was that important. I wanted to make it look easy, like some of those guys that are, born superstars. I didn't have that, but I knew if we worked hard enough at it, I might at least mimic that a little bit on occasion.
No, the ball sounded different off your bat, and consequently, after I learned what you kind of taught me, you would come to the season and you would tell me about this hitting a sledgehammer, and it makes sense, just the context of hitting a directional force. They say it takes 8,000 pounds per square inch to hit a ball 400 feet in one direction.
Oh, absolutely.
But so I'm sure guys at our age, when we were younger, young strapping, young players, we could pump out 15,000 pounds per square inch, but not in the same direction. It would scatter. But you taught me. It just gave me the context of knowing that, hey, I needed to get this force in one direction. And the idea of hitting a sledgehammer or a hammer or an axe is just that directional force.
Oh, absolutely. And I've always believed, and I'm sure you believe it too, genetics play a lot of role in what we do as athletes. I was never going to be a guy that ran a 6'3", 60. I wasn't going to throw 95 miles an hour. So I didn't have 150 mile an hour bat speed like some of these guys do. But those guys are rare and far between. But I knew I had good bat speed. So the only thing I could control was my angles and then how hard I impacted that ball.
When I have to catch up. When you hit the ball, it was so square, like you hit a railroad tie into the ground perfectly. The sound, the resonance of the sound was so loud. It didn't sound the same as other guys, which is why I went, I need to learn what you're doing. So I used to always, and you shared it with me freely. And so you're partly to thank for what, my career, I had a career. I'm telling you.
But, I wish, some parts of our careers turned out better. I wish we'd had a chance to stay together. That would have been a great tandem for all those years. I wish you hadn't gone to Detroit. I wish I hadn't gotten hurt. Neither of those things that anybody can control. But it was fun. But like you said, we really didn't have a lot of videotape or anything back then. I never had a chance to hear me hit. But I know what you mean, because I've heard other people hit, and it does sound different. And it's because they are compressing that baseball with sheer force and power to and through that ball. And I remember watching and seeing that sound, so I'm kind of glad I maybe did that every now and then. That's kind of nice.
When Phil was a Major League Baseball player, and when you're up next to a batting cage and watching and listening to Major League hitters, they're squaring up every ball. I mean, 9 out of 10 balls, they're squaring it up. They're not fouling balls off. I mean, they're squaring balls up, and it just sounds different. And it's a really unique sound. So tell me about the Sledge Bat. You have some examples here. This is a smaller one. This is for the youth.
Yeah, well, we make a Sledge Bat now, and my company is Sledge Bat. You can find us online, sledgebats.com. And this is a Major League Baseball training bat. Like I said, we make them in different sizes and models for the kids. And what the Sledge Bat forces you to do is, for the first time, kids find out where the perfect point of contact is by moving their feet and extending the bat like they would make contact off a tee. They find exactly where they should make contact for the first time. Most instructors could never teach where they're supposed to do it because everybody's unique, as you know, in different arm length and talent and hip rotation and everything. But once they learn that this ball is their impact spot,
This is the sweet spot.
right, that ball is...
It really does. It feels like the sweet spot of the bat, and it's not just where you want to hit it, but it's the position your whole body has to get in the right position, and this teaches you how kinesthetically, like mind body feel. It makes you feel like you need to get into the right position.
Oh, absolutely. And you learn to take this ball as you're swinging the bat fluidly and drive to that ball on a tee, and you learn how to drive through that ball and compress that ball, and it...
Compress it. I say compress. When I talk to guys all the time, and everyone says, bat speed this, bat speed that, and I'm like, you go bat speed, and all your energy is scattering, and you're quitting on balls. You get no weight into it. And I said, we never thought about bat speed. We thought about compressing the ball.
I always looked at my swing as a high-speed train, but not like the high-speed trains, and that it was loaded with coal or steel. And when I hit that wall, which was that baseball on contact, I wanted my train cars to just push the barrel of my bat not just to that ball, but just destroy it. And if like a paintball would splatter, I always thought about splattering the ball. I used to envision like an egg splattering when I hit it with a bat.
Isn't that amazing how we thought it was very similar? And in those days, because now that there's a lot of apps out there with smartphones and stuff, and there's a lot of metrics that people are reading, and bat speed seems to be a metric. If you've seen a player, sure, exit speed's always good. That's good. But bat speed, if you give up bat speed for control, you're going to hurt. You're hurting.
Yeah.
And you're wasting your time. But, so.
Well, I like to tell people all the time when somebody wants to come up to me, and as you know, they want to talk about, well, my son has bat speed of 155 miles an hour or 130 or 110, and can you take a look at his swing? And I'll be watching him swing and just hitting balls off a tee. Nice and easy. Just show me some line drives up the middle. And the kid's all over the place, and he's not under control. And, he's not fluid, and he has no rhythm. And then I realized, and I try to explain to the parents, look, just because he can do it once doesn't mean he can do it and then be accurate with point of contact. 150 mile an hour bat speed with lousy point of contact is a 220 hitter that's never going to play professional baseball. You give me a kid that's got 85 mile an hour bat speed, which is average. You give me a kid that's got great point of contact and good force driving through the ball, that guy's playing for 20 years in the big leagues, because the big leagues is built around those guys. Yeah, there's a few elite players that have 110 mile an hour bat speed that can still make perfect point of contact, but those guys are so few and far between, Matt. I mean, you might have played with a few of them, I might have played with a few of them, but there's not a few on every team. And if somebody told me tomorrow, hey, there's 11 superstars playing in Southern California from San Diego to Los Angeles, I would laugh, because, there may be one, and that might not be born yet.
I was talking to a friend of both of ours, Darrell Evans, hit 420 home runs in the big leagues, and he would always remind me. He goes, Matty, on every big league team, there's really only 3 or 4 great hitters on each team. There's not not 11 great hitters on each team. Okay, so hey, you have a top hand bat. Tell me about this.
Yes. Okay, Matt, I got to tell you, of all the tools we make, here, Matt, of all the tools we make, the one I'm the most proud of is the top hander. I mean, this particular, I know it's a kind of a dumb, stupid looking club, but if you can hit with this bat, and it's one-hand drills, your top hand drills. When you learn how to hit with this, you learn how to drive the ball, you learn how to hit the ball to all locations, you will have backspin and you will compress the ball and you are making perfect contact. I trained with a tool very similar to this. It wasn't as engineered and produced, it was like a one-off thing, but now we produce these things, and this is, I like to say it, this is the final evolution of training tools for hitters. People that train with our stuff have already improved batting averages in the major leagues as everyday players from years, over 40 points. We did over 50 points in the minor leagues this year with not just one or two athletes, with over a dozen. And I can't wait for this year because we're taking a Los Angeles Dodger everyday player that struggled, superstar in the making, and he struggled. And we're going to raise his average 50 points this year. And he played every day, and we're going to raise his average 50 points.
I have no doubt. It's like you would never mistake a screwdriver for a hammer. The screwdriver twists, you know what it does. And the hammer gives you more context. You take a baseball bat, it's round. What does it do? I mean, you may as well hit a piñata in any direction. So this actually gives you some feedback of directional force.
Absolutely. Perfect directional force. You learn to compress the ball to any location on the field based on where the pitch is coming from. And it's not just you tap it, you drive through it. I mean, this is by far my most favorite training tool. I mean, if I had to take one to a cage, and that's all I could put in a suitcase, and I was training people on the island of Phil's Island on how to hit, this is the tool I'm taking. Hopefully they're all big enough to use it, but that's the tool I'm taking for how to hit.
Well, I was right-hand dominant, so my left hand wasn't as good, and so that was my top hand. And so I took your cue, and I went home and I worked on my top hand. It was uncoordinated, and then I learned how to hit it and I thought of it like a hammer. Even though it was a bat, I had to contextually think of it like a hammer and hit it so I knew where it was going in any direction. And we have so many stories we could tell. But but thanks Phil. And yes, and I love everything, and I got all the products, and I just think they're wonderful, and go out and get one.
Thank you, Matt, very much. Appreciate it. Nice to see you here.
Thanks, Phil.